Hola. Hoy es día 23, which means 23, 23. Y hoy quiero contarte una historia. Contar means to count, but it also means to tell. So, quiero contarte una historia means I want to tell you a story. En mi opinión, es una buena idea to try to absorber español. And I think you do that by listening, escuchas español that you can understand, which is what I hope I'm going to give you today. I've had a couple of goes at telling this historia, but I really want to contar la historia. So one more try. La historia is called ¿Por qué no te callas?, which is why don't you shut up? And it takes place in 2007, which is 2007, at a summit of leaders of Latin countries. So it's America Latina, España y Portugal. Let me tell you about los caracteres en la historia. We've got Hugo Chávez, who was el presidente de Venezuela between 1999 hasta 2013 when he died. We have Zapatero, who was the Prime Minister de España at the time. His predecessor, who was called Aznar, he was the Prime Minister before Zapatero. And we have el Rey de España. So those are the cuatro caracteres. Hugo Chávez was a socialista. He was also populista, and he liked to hablar mucho. Zapatero had annoyed Hugo Chávez because he had told Hugo Chávez that the policies of Chavez were scaring foreign capital out of South America. Hugo Chavez had massive oil revenue, so he was using that for la vivienda, which is housing, la alimentación, which is food, la sanidad, which is health, and la educación. But he was also nationalizing things. So Zapatero was right. He was scaring foreign capital out of America Latina. So Zapatero had annoyed Chavez. It came to be the time for Zapatero to hablar, and Chavez didn't want to let him. So Chavez took a theme from El Pasado. I told you that the Prime Minister before Zapatero in España was a man called Aznar, who was much more right-wing than Zapatero. And Aznar was involved in supporting un golpe de Estado. A golpe de Estado is a coup. So he was involved in supporting un golpe de Estado in Venezuela in 2002 to try to get rid of Chavez because he was too socialista, demasiado socialista. So, of course, Chavez didn't like Aznar, but that didn't really have anything to do with Zapatero. But Zapatero had annoyed Chavez with his comentario, so Chavez didn't want to let him speak. Cuando Zapatero habla, Chavez interrumpe. Zapatero intenta means to try. Zapatero intenta hablar y Chavez interrumpe. To such a point that the organizers had turned off el micrófono de Hugo Chavez. Imagínate, a head of state at a summit has had his micrófono apagado because he won't stop with his constant interruptions. Bien, so this is el incidente. Quiero hablar del incidente. Zapatero intenta hablar y Hugo Chavez is saying, tell Aznar, el fascista, el racista Aznar, that he has to respetar Venezuela. He calls him, he says he's worse than un serpiente, worse than un tigre, worse than a serpent, worse than a snake, worse than a tiger. And every time Zapatero intenta hablar, Hugo Chavez says, dígale lo mismo a él, which means tell him that. Dígale lo mismo a él. Zapatero says, por supuesto, which means of course. Take it for supposed, por supuesto. Chavez, dígale lo mismo a él. Por supuesto. Y Zapatero intenta hablar y Chavez, dígale lo mismo a él. This is Chavez talking sin micrófono, and he says the same thing 4 times. Y en mi opinión, it was a little bit like a kid in a first school playground, and tell him that, you tell him that. Not really fitting for a summit. Zapatero, with his por supuesto, can't get a word in edgeways, and then comes el incidente. El Rey de España. It's not his turn to talk, he's there as a head of state. El Rey de España leans forward and looks at Chavez and says, ¿Por qué no te callas? That means, why don't you shut up? So it's incredibly, falta respeto. Falta means it lacks. Falta respeto. Chavez falta respeto cuando interrumpe. El Rey de España saying, ¿por qué no te callas? Well, that's another level. He uses te, which is the form for two. I can say te with you because it's entre amigos. But when you are at a summit as a head of state, you should use usted. So falta respeto. Tú, ¿por qué no te callas? La reacción en América Latina was merchandise. The ringtone más popular fue la voz del Rey de España saying, ¿por qué no te callas? The website with the domain name ¿por qué no te callas? Sold for $10,000. And then there was an ocean of camisetas. Camisetas are t-shirts, camisetas with the words ¿por qué no te callas? Bufandas, which are scarves. ¿Por qué no te callas? El fin del cuento, the end of the story, is that in 2008, Hugo Chavez went back. Hugo Chavez didn't hear at the time. He didn't hear. Can you imagine? Imagínate. Gracias a Dios. At the time del incidente, Hugo Chavez no oyó el rey. He didn't hear the king. No le oyó. Bueno, but of course it was televised, so he saw it afterwards. En 2008, everything happened in 2007. En 2008, Hugo Chavez visitó a España. Visitó el rey en su palacio. Y el rey de España gave Hugo Chavez una camiseta, a t-shirt, with the words ¿Por qué no te callas? And Hugo Chavez had managed to imitate perfectamente la voz del rey. So with this perfect imitation, he said, ¿Por qué no nos vamos a la playa? Why don't we go to the beach? I think it's a nice end to the story. Me gusta, I like, me gusta la historia. Y me gusta absorber el español. Rather than estudiar, me gusta absorber el español. And I hope you liked it too. Mañana, I'm going to talk, it's such a nice lesson, mañana. I'm going to talk about how to ask somebody their name, even if you've already asked it before and you've forgotten, and habla un poco de la memoria. So come back mañana, we'll do how to ask someone their name. Hasta mañana. Adiós.